Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to League Racing TV here for round number 11 of the CTC Console Championship. My name is, of course, Michael Edwards, going to be taking you through the action as we head to the Mexican Grand Prix. That is right, is the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, of course, a fantastic circuit, 4.3 kilometers, 2.6 miles in length, 17 corners, 3 DRS zones, 1 down the start finish straight in towards turn number 1, 1 down in towards turn number 4, and of course 1 down in towards turn number 12, just entering the stadium section. Of course, a circuit where it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of setups the drivers go for. Do you go for a car that is a bit slippier in a straight line, where of course you will have the top end speed down the start finish straight and of course into turn 4? Or do you go for something with a little bit more downforce for that middle sector and really maximize those S's in the middle sector? It's going to be an interesting one, that is for sure, as we look forward to the lights out and qualifying beginning in a moment's time. But of course, before we do go to the qualifiers, let us have a look here real quick. I'm just waiting to get the invite into the lobby, but we will be in shortly enough. But of course, let us have a look at the let's have a special word with our sponsors and partners. Of course, first of all, Pivot Media, the marketing agency offering graphic and video designers to elevate your brand and business. Make sure you guys check out their X in the description down below. And of course, Virtual Setup Engineer, the brand new setup shop for all of your setup needs, where they offer setups for all the tracks plus a custom chat box so you can customize the setup to your driving style. And last but not least, of course, Gridfinder as well. Looking at the championship coming into tonight, the championship is wrapped up. That is right. Shazoo Cedar Igniters did take the championship last time out when we was in Kota, and they were able to secure the championship with I believe it was a 1-3 finish in the end. A double podium did seal the championship for them. ET8 currently in second place, unable to catch up now, on 86 points behind. They're on 243 points. They're 40 points ahead of TF10, who are on 203. 166 points for Evolution Racing Team in fourth place, with Legacy Racing in fifth on 104. 103 points for Ground Effect Spec Racing in sixth place, with Alien Motorsports on 60 points in seventh. All Elite Racing Team on 55 points in eighth. Azuri Esports with a bit of a charge towards the end of the season. They're currently in ninth on 52 points. And of course, IRT, International Racing Team, they're in 10th place on 38 points. And of course, the drivers for tonight's race, we have Finley and Volakongan in for Shazoo Cedar Igniters. Orsu and Sergio in for ET8 Esports. Apple and Max Kingstappen in for Alien Motorsport. Evolution Racing Team coming through with Kevin Zumberg and Schumacher. TF10 coming through with Lucas and Tiago. IRT with Nick and Ivan. Melvin and Caden are going to be representing All Elite Racing Team. Azuri Esports coming through with Julian and Pablo. Ground Effect Spec coming through with Medal and RWB. And then Legacy Racing with RW06 Official and Mafio. So that is the lineups for tonight. As we're still awaiting the invite into the lobby. Hopefully, things will be moving on quite swiftly soon, as we hope to get into the action as quickly as possible. But I think, I mean, hopefully we don't have any issues with EA right now in terms of the servers, because there's potential that could be an issue, which we hope not, and we hope to get in as soon as possible. And there we go. What's called? We should be getting the invite very shortly. Of course, the back to the normal proceedings here in CTC, where of course we will be having the full qualifying session once again, which obviously last week, due to the delays of the real life Grand Prix, we did have a short qualifying, but we're back to normal proceedings again now, as we await our invite into the lobby, and then we will be getting going shortly. Hopefully. Apologies for the delay, guys. I do apologize. We're gonna go on a quick intermission break while we try to get all this sorted, and we'll be right back in just a moment. So bear with us, guys, and we will be back. Right, apologies for that, guys. It did take a little bit for the invite to go through. I think invites have just been a little bit slow. Today, I just had an absolute flood come through at the same time, which is fantastic to see. But yeah, we will be going into qualifying in just a moment's time. Another quick look at the track in question around the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, the Mexican Grand Prix, 4.3 kilometers, 2.6 miles. Three DRS zones, one down the start finish straight in towards turn number one down in towards turn number 4, and of course the final one in towards turn number 12 as you enter the stadium section. A blend of straight line speed and downforce is going to be crucial, and we're going to find out who's going to be favouring the downforce in that middle sector and who's going to be favouring the straight line speed down the start finish straight. That's going to be a very interesting one. Now, normally you want to get pole position, but around a track like this with such a long run down in towards turn number 1, you don't really want to be on the front row. You kind of want to be on the second, maybe even the third row if you can get a good launch off the start. And then is all about getting yourself into position where you are going to be able to make overtakes happen down in towards the first braking zone. And guys, looks like we are ready now to go into the first qualifying session. So let us go ahead and let us switch over to the action out on track, and there we go. So we got 18 minutes now of qualifying here in Q1, and then we'll be saying goodbye to 5 of the 20 drivers here in Q1, and then moving on to Q2, where of course we'll be losing another 5 at the end of Q2, and then getting ready for the top 10 shootout. Guys, let me know in chat as well how the stream is looking. I might have to bring it up on my end 2 seconds just so I can have the stream open, because for some reason I cannot see chat, which is annoying me. So we are going to bring that up real quick. And there we go. Okay, right, so we got all that sorted, and we got the chat up. Right, lovely stuff. Right, as the qualifiers is underway, we got some drivers out on track right now. Kevin Zumberg there, and he is, of course, going to be looking to set his initial lap on the set of the intermediate tyres, where of course we'll be seeing several drivers on the intermediate here tonight, making sure they get their bankers in and not wasting a set of soft compound tyres, which you'll want to save if you want to go deep into the qualifying session. So we should be seeing everyone on a set of inters to start off with, and then towards the end of the session we see the soft tyres come out to play, and maybe a second soft set of tyres could be needed by some drivers who are on the bubble. But Kevin Zumberg is the first man out on track, and we are gonna give him the full screen for his lap here as he comes through the stadium section. Gonna be looking now to get this lap underway through the final corner, foot to the floor as we come down the start finish straight to head down in towards turn number 1, the long straight down in towards turn number 1. DRS wide open on the ERS as well as we look for the break-in just before the 100-meter board. Third gear, the gear of choice there as we go through turns 1, 2 and 3, looking for a good exit onto the ERS once again as DRS gets opened for a second time on this lap as we run down in towards turn number 4 at 28.7 in the first sector as we come in towards turn number 5. Third gear, the gear of choice there for Kevin as we come through turn number 6, the double right-hander, as now it's all about hooking the car up in this middle sector through the SS, through 7, 8, 9, and now in towards 10, which will release you onto 11 onto the DRS straight as we run down in towards the break-in for turn number 12. Again at the 100-meter board, throwing the car through 12, and now in towards turns 13, 14 and 15 in the stadium. Now for the final 2 corners at 16 and 17, and to the line will come with Kevin, and it's going to be an initial lap time of a 1 minute 18.9. Of course, on the Inters we will be expecting to see times a lot quicker than that by the time we get to the end of the session. Do we have anyone out there right now on a different set of tyres other than the RW06, who right now is on a set of the full wet compound tyres? So could be interesting. Remember, last time out in the circuit of the Americas, we did have a little bit of rain to contend with, which was very interesting in terms of the strategy. But we did see a double Shazoo podium, which sealed the championship for them. But just because the championship is over and done with doesn't mean that there's not stuff to fight for. The battle for second is still alive. The battle for third, is still alive as well. I mean, Evolution Racing Team are about the same amount of points off the back of TF10 as TF10 are off the back of ET8. So a horrid race for one of those teams could put them under pressure from the team directly behind them, or could absolutely take Evolution Racing Team out of contention if they have a horrible race. As the drivers navigate their way on these intermediate tyres, looking just to get a lap on the board, a delta to work off of. That is what is needed right now from all these drivers. Just make sure you get a valid lap in on the board, and then when it comes to the end of the session, you're on the dry compound tyres, you're on the sauce, and you're going to be going a lot quicker. Be interesting to see what RW6 does in comparison. Very wide though for turn 12. Too deep into the corner there for the man in the Red Bull. But through the final corner he'll come, and it's going to be a 23.1 for RW06. Not ideal for him. Julian on an outlap. We got Max King Stappen on an outlap as well. Pablo is in the pits. Sergio in the pits. A lot of drivers in the pits right now. Both IRT drivers in the pits. Both of the ETA drivers in the pits. Both of the Shazoo drivers in the pits. And obviously we had a lap time come in from Thiago. His teammate Lucas not getting a lap in. He's also in the pit lane. And of course RWB's in the pits with his teammate Medal up in P5 at the moment. Both of the IRT drivers, Nick and Ivan, going to be looking for a strong performance here. Remember, they came into the season very late, as did Ground Effect Spec Racing. I mean, Ground Effect Spec have had a fantastic season despite coming into it late on. Potentially, if they were here at the start of the season, maybe, you know, that battle for fourth, the battle for third maybe might be a bit closer. But unfortunately, they did join the championship late into the season, and of course IRT, they're trying to make sure that they don't finish last, and right now they are last, but there's still time for them to turn it around. As Julian on his lap, Max King Stappen coming into the pits, and we got RWB, the first man out there on the dry compound tyres. Nine minutes and 20 seconds remaining in Q1. The top 15 will go through into Q2. The bottom 5 will be eliminated from qualifying, and they'll have to sit there and wait patiently for the rest of the field to be done with qualifying, which can have a bit of a negative effect. It can knock you out of rhythm, but also at the same time it can allow you to focus and get your mindset right for the race start. So it can go either way. Getting knocked out in Q1, you can turn it around into something good, but at the same time it can be detrimental to how you perform at the start of the race. But RWB, Ground Effect Spec Racing, going to be the first driver to set a lap on the soft compound tyres. And this is where we're going to see the lap times get competitive. As out of the final corner becomes RWB now, as he crosses the start finish line, opens up DRS as we run down in towards turn number 1. Looking for the break in just before the 100-meter board, third gear, throwing the car through there as we go through turns 2 and 3. Early on the throttle on the exit, DRS wide open on the ERS as well as we head down in towards turn number 4. 27.9 from RWB as we go through turn number 5 in towards the double right at turn 6, the double apex at turn 6, as we look into the S's now, throwing the car through 7, 8, 9. Of course, through 10 and 11. DRS wide open once again as we put our foot to the floor, heading towards the break-in for turn number 12 at 55.6 in the middle sector. As we come through the stadium section, the spectators are going to be very, very happy with the speed of the cars coming through there, that is for sure. As we come across the line, RWB is going to be a 14.7 to get proceedings underway, 4 seconds quicker than what we saw from Kevin Zumberg, who goes even quicker with a 14.3, as the lap times are definitely going to tumble down now. As we got Nick going up into P2, Ivan to the line now. What can he do in comparison to his teammate? He's behind RWB. More lap times coming in. Volokongan up to P2 with a 14.5. Thiago fits in just behind Nick as Lucas is splitting Volokongan and Kevin Zumberg, as we had Finley, I believe, popping up into P7. Mafio into P9. As we got more cars coming through, as I believe that was RW06 jumping himself up the order. Melwin now to the line. What's he going to do? It's a 14.7 from Melwin. And we got one of the McLarens, of course, one of the Alien Motorsports, and it's Apple into the pits. And Sergio for ET8 goes on provisional pole. Well, I mean, it's provisional pole right now in terms of the session, but he's on a 14.2, top in the timeshare in Q1. 14.8 for Max Kingstappen. As I believe we had Caden there jumping himself up into P12, Schumacher to P11, Oxcu up to P10. 4 drivers yet to set a lap time on the soft compound tyres, and that is of course Medal, Julian, Apple, and of course Pablo. There's still time for all of them as we have 5 minutes remaining in the session. Kevin Zumberg feels he's done enough in Q1 here. The question is, so, is it enough? Of course, right now the cutoff is the 15.1 set by Mafio in P15. A 1 minute 15.1 is the cutoff. There's going to be time out there for everyone to find. But is it going to be enough? Look at how close it is from RWB with a 14.708. We have a tenth of a second separating RWB in 7th down to Caden in 12th. Just under a tenth of a second separating them, and it's just over a tenth of a second separating what's called RWB down to Kingstappen. It is very close. As Julian now coming through the stadium section, yet to get a lap time on the board, but the car is sliding. Absolutely trying everything he can to get the best time possible, and it's going to be a 15.1. Puts him into P15, knocks Mafio into the drop zone, who's on an out lap right now. Apple about to begin his flying lap here. Let's see what Apple can do. Alien Motorsports. His teammate right now currently in P13, Max Kingstappen. As Melwin thinks his time is good enough for this session. And that's a risky one from Melwin. That's a very risky one. Because realistically, we've not seen a competitive lap time coming from Medal, Apple or Pablo as of yet. And there's a lot of drivers that all they got to do is find a 10th, 2 tenths, and they could jump ahead of Melwin in the standings. Has he decided to retire too soon? We're going to find out. Apple, though, on his flying lap, coming through to the middle sector split now. 3.5 seconds up on his middle sector, as he gets very fortunate, not invalidating his lap time, but in the stadium he'll come and through the final corner. Apple to the line. What's it going to be for the Alien Motorsports driver? And it's a 15.2 for him. Not good enough, but he does have just under 2 minutes to go, so he can do this lap, save his ERS, and then go once again, but he will have worn tyres. Every single driver in the top 10, apart from Lucas for TF10, have retired. So they're happy with the lap times they've done. Of course, we got 3 drivers on a 14.8. If they find a 10th for the second, they can jump ahead of Ox2 and Melwin, which pushes them down. Obviously, right now, Medal is on an out lap. We got Pablo on a lap. We got Schumacher, Caden, Kingstappen, Ivan, all on out laps or starting their laps. And it's going to be interesting to see what exactly happens. It looks like Apple does not have the fuel to go again, perhaps. It's going to be interesting. As we got W06 coming to the line now. Cannot find the improvement that he needs. That's his qualifying over and done with, and that's him out of qualifying. Next up we have Pablo to the line. What is the Azuri esports driver going to do? It's a 15.4, not enough for him. So that's 2 drivers who are out here in Q1 confirmed. As we got Julian, who is on an out lap, about to get his fast lap underway here. And he's missed the checker flag. Julian has missed the checker flag. Heartbreak for him. Mafio to the line. What can he do? Is this going to be an improvement for him? And no, it is not. So RW06 and Medal, the 2 drivers, yet to get the competitive lap times. Kingstappen goes up in the P8. Ivan up to P13. What about Medal? Medal up to 15th. And that's exactly what he needed. So now it's all on RW06, who I think from that first sector split, he was the driver that was backing off. So I think that is qualifying over and done with. Schumacher, he's not going to take any more out of those tyres. Just he's going to come into the pits and then retire from the session, or he's going to cross the line. But the 5 drivers we are losing here in Q1: Julian, Mafio, Apple, RW06 and Pablo. So both of the Legacy Racing drivers, both of the Azuri esports drivers, and of course Alien Motorsports' Apple out here in Q1. All 5 unable to break into the 1-minute 14s. I tell you what, the top 10, the battle for Q2 and getting into Q3 is going to be very, very close. I'm just putting it out there right now. It could be the most competitive qualifying that we've had this season in terms of the top 10, top 15. Could very well be. Let's run you through the order again. It is Sergio who has topped the timeshare in Q1 ahead of Kevin Zumberg in second, Lucas in third, Buchanan in fourth, Wollacong in fifth, Nick in sixth, Diago seventh, King Stappen in eighth, RWB in ninth, and of course Finley in 10th, Melwin 11th, Oscar 12th, Ivan 13th, Schumacher 14th, and Medal, the last of the drivers going through into Q2 in 15th place. And our 5 eliminated drivers is Julian, Mafio, Apple, RWO6, and of course Pablo will be taking no further part in qualifying now, as we are going to see who is going to be breaking into Q3 into the top 10, because it is very, very close in terms of the lap times here, especially in and around that top 10. So take your pick, guys. I mean, let me know in the chat, who are you backing for this? Who have you got your money on? Let me know, as we are going to get everything up once again. The telemetry, lap data, and of course the tire compound that these guys are going to be on. As we have a whole plethora of cars exiting the pit lane now. And I believe the first one out is that man, Shazu's Volakongan. Of course, now for the rest of the season, Shazu can use this, the final 2 races, as a good opportunity for maybe some drivers that are inexperienced in terms of the team, and getting them used to working with the team. Obviously the championship is wrapped up, so there's less pressure on Shazu now, but Volakongan, a very experienced driver, same with Finley, so maybe it's just trying to get a maximum points as possible for Shazu. Maybe that is still on the table for them. Well, of course, the final round of the championship could still definitely see some different driver selections from Shazu, I think, as we come on to start the first qualifying lap here in Q2. Volakongan heading down the start finish straight, DRS wide open on overtake with the ERS as we head down to the break into turn number 1, just before the 100-meter board, breaking down third gear, throwing the car through turn number 1, and then opening yourself up for turn 2 and 3. Early on the throttle on the exit of turn 3, and getting the traction down with DRS wide open, heading down towards turn number 4, a 27.9 first sector split as we go through turns 4 and 5. Now in towards turn number 6. Good traction on the exit of Volakongan, and using all the track on the exit as well. Same through 7 and 8. Through turn 9, making sure you maximize the limits on this track, especially in the middle sector. Volakongan though, 55.6, heading into turn 12. Into the stadium we go, braking for turn 13. And now through 14, 15, in towards turn number 16, and then of course the final corner here, turn 17. To the line will come Volakongan, and it's going to be a 14.7 to get proceedings underway here in Q2. Schumacher with a 15.5. Kevin Zumberg a 14.9. So obviously, from what we are seeing so far, scrub set of tyres that are going on these cars. Sergio, 14.4 for him. Meadow with a 15.6. Ivan the 15.4. Melvin the 15.2. Finley with a 15.1. Lucas into the pit lane for TF10. Does not want that delta on the board. RWB up in the P3 with a 14.9. As we got Nick on a flyer. Max Kingstappen just starting his lap, so we'll stay on board with Nick. And judging from the ERS for there, I think Nick may have just finished his lap. And it will be coming into the pits. So we're going to go back on Max Kingstappen here. A 20 flat in sector 1. The car getting a little bit loose in the rear. So Max is 100% pushing the car right now. But he needs to make sure that his back end does not step out here. Not through the S's. And that was a brilliant day from Max Kingstappen. And too much on that inside curb. And Kingstappen there just losing the back end. Costing himself time, but he is going to make sure he gets the delta. And yeah, it's not the competitive lap time he wants. It's a 17.2, but he has a delta on the board, and something that he will be looking at in terms of sector 1 and sector 2 gains and losses on his next run. That is for sure. Thiago and Lucas both out there on out laps. So we'll see what they are able to do. The TF10 pairing. Will both of them be getting themselves into Q3? And will both of them be able to keep themselves ahead and mathematically out of the way of EVR and behind, and will they be able to stay mathematically in ET8's window in P2? That's going to be the question. Can TF10 stay within the points they need to take the battle for second to the final race? Can they close up enough to make it a competitive battle? That's going to be the question as well. As here goes Thiago to start his lap on the ERS, opening DRS, heading down the long straight in towards the first break in at turn number 1. Up and down third gear again. As we wait for that first sector split, what is Thiago going to do in the first sector? It's going to be a 27.8 in the first sector. As we head through turn number 6. The middle sector is where you can absolutely lose all your time on a qualifying run. The middle sector is so important to hook up. Can Thiago do it? That looked pretty quick in the middle sector. 55.5 middle sector split for Thiago. As we head into the stadium, again, very important to get the best out of these corners early on the traction. A nice smooth application of the traction as well. As Thiago to the line, it's going to be a 14.5, puts himself into P2 for the time being. Volokongan is on a lap. Lucas, a 14.3 for him. Schumacher in the SS course currently in P11 with a 15.5 on what I'm assuming is scrub set of soft compound tyres. As we come through to the stadium section now, Schumacher for Evolution Racing. He's going to want to be up there with his teammate battling these guys towards the front. Volokongan 14.2 tops the times. Schumacher now goes up in the P5 with a 14.6. Is that going to be enough to get himself into Q3, I wonder? As I believe that was Oxcu potentially crossing the line. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was Sergio crossing the line to begin his lap here in Q2. As Kevin Zumberg sets the identical lap time to Volokongan. Absolutely identical. Nothing between them. Volokongan did set the lap time first, so he is at the top. As we got Melvin and Caden both on a lap sheet. Melvin down in the middle sector, but finds time in the final sector. What about his teammate? What can Caden do? Remember, Caden had that big mistake in the final sector, but look at the back end step out on him as he turned in to turn 16, and to the line will come Caden. It is a big improvement, but it's not going to be getting him anywhere near the top 10. Personally, I think for you guys to get yourselves into the top 10, you're going to need a 0.6. Just because I think that's going to be the safest bet for you. A 14.6. Now, of course, there are several drivers right now that currently in the 15s, but I don't expect it to remain that way. Of course, we saw these drivers all make it into the 14s, so we all know that they're capable of a 1 minute 14. But it's just going to be a case if they can hook it up. As Kevin Lundberg has retired from the session, same with Volokonga, and both of them happy with the lap times they have set to get themselves into Q3. And to be fair, I think Sergio will probably be looking to retire in the pits as well, as his 14.3. I mean, it does look a very good lap time with 14.3. Same for Lucas as well. RWB with a 14.4 is going to be interesting. So obviously, the deeper into qualifying, the track is going to ramp up. It's going to get quicker and quicker. But is it going to be quick enough for that time to be under threat? I don't think so. I think right now, if you are Schumacher, you're looking at the times from Q1 and you are on the teetering edge, you want to say, of having the need of going out again or being happy with your lap. The times can improve. We've seen all these drivers in the 14s in Q1. It is capable of all these drivers getting themselves into the 1 minute 14s. But will we be seeing a change in the order? Right now, this man, Finley, is on the bubble with a 15.1. But we know Finley's going to improve on that lap time. He did a quicker lap in Q1. We know the lap times can improve here. And we know Finley will find that lap time. Same with Ivan. Same with Nick in behind as well. Oxcu, of course, for ET8, he knows just how close it was in Q1, and the 14.7, he knows it's risky to stay in the pits on the 14.7, but Finley has now just got his lap underway as we head down the start finish straight in towards turn number 1. First sector split for Finley, and he's going to be a 10th and a half up in sector 1. So already, if he can just carry this momentum, he's into the 14s. But an invalidation is not going to help Finley there at all in the SS. The invalidation has been picked up. Not ideal. Ivan has backed off from his lap. What about Nick? Nick is still pushing. Coming into the SS now. Less than a minute to go in the qualifying session. Nick with a 55.4 middle sector split. Coming into the stadium, a little bit of a back end snap on him, under braking, but he's managed it well through the penultimate corner now. And to the line will come the IRT man. Is going to be enough for Q3. He goes up into P7 with a 14.5. As Schumacher will be the last car to cross the line in qualifying. Os2 pushing marginally up in sector 1, but this is where the time can be gained or lost. Sector 2 and sector 3. The ET8 man is still marginally up in sector 2, and that's an invalidation there, and that is not ideal right there for ET8 Os2. As he's on a 14.7. Is it going to be enough? Caden coming through the final corner now. It's a 14.5 from Caden. Up into P6 he goes. Finley session is over. Medal session's over. Melwin, he's up by 4 tenths. Is he going to be able to get himself into Q3? Yes, it is. And he's up into P4. Schumacher versus Ivan. As Ivan is 6 times up, how much more has he gained in the final sector? Here comes the ART man. Up to P11, not enough. Schumacher does hold on here, but he's going to see out his lap. And he goes fastest out of everyone with a 14.2. And I did say that 0.6 was looking a little dangerous, and it was a 14.5 which was the cut-off point. And in the end, the 14.6 wasn't enough for IRT Ivan. The 0.7 wasn't enough for Ox2. 0.7 wasn't enough for Finley, and the 0.8s weren't enough for King Stappen and Medal. As we have our top 10 shootout now to look forward to. 14.2 has been the best time that we've seen in the sessions so far. But let's run you through the order. Going through the top 10 shootout is Schumacher, Volokongan, Kevin Zumberg, Sergio, Melwin, Lucas, RWB, Caden, Thiago and Nick. And here are the drivers that are eliminated out of Q2. It is Ivan, Ostu, Finley, Max King Stappen, and of course Medal, who will be taking no further part in qualifying here. Remember, the pole position does get your team an extra point, so it can be a crucial point for some teams in their battles in the championship. But we are going to see who is going to be getting that pole position point, because remember, while you do get a point for pole position, starting on pole position here in Mexico is not ideal. You do not want to be starting from pole position here at Mexico at all. As we got a fantastic top 10 shootout to go here, as we got both TF10 drivers. We have both of the Evolution Racing team drivers. We have Ground Effect Spec being represented by RWB. We have IRT being represented by Nick. We have ET8 represented by Sergio. And we have Volokongan representing Shazoo. And of course, last but not least, we have the pairing of Caden and Melwin for All Elite Racing team. Guys, let me know in the chat what is your predictions Who is going to get pole position, and what do you think the pole position time is going to be? As we got just under 11 minutes to go in the session now. Will we see anyone potentially break into the 1 minute 13s? I wonder. Obviously, we've had 14.2s so far in Q1 and Q2. As actually, Ron in the chat saying 13.9 pole position. Kevin P1 with a 13.9 a low 13.9. Okay, so 13.9s are the predictions in the chat, and we've had Kevin predicted for pole position. Nick is the first man to get us underway here in Q3, as we got just under 10 minutes to go in the session as we enter turn number 1. Julian has left the session. Hopefully he's able to get back in before the race begins. So 27.8 in the first sector for Nick. Of course, RWB on a fast lap in behind as well. Plenty of space between the pair of them. We'll be able to see what the middle sector split is for Nick right now. Middle sector, 55.3 middle sector split for the IRT man. Coming into the stadium section, throwing the car through turn 13, 14 and 15. Now into the final corner, 16 and 17 to the line for Nick. 14.5 for Nick. RWB is looking on par with Nick right now, depending on what happens in this final sector. What can RWB do for ground effect spec racing? He's 2/10 off of Nick. Not ideal. Caden on a fast lap. .5 for him, a couple of tenths off. The best that we've seen so far in Q3. But has he picked up anything in the final sector? Or has he hemorrhaged time in the final sector? Time will tell as we come to the line now. Okay then, it's a 14.9 for him. Not going to be good enough for pole position. What about his teammate Melvin? 14.9 as well. I'm wondering if we are seeing scrub set of tyres on some of these guys right now. Schumacher through the final two corners. What's this going to be for the Evolution Racing Team driver as he crosses the line? It's a 15.1 for Schumacher. Thiago going to be crossing the line first, and then his teammate will be following in behind. So let's see what the TF10 pairing are going to be able to do. First up will be Thiago. To cross the line, it's a 0.5 for him. What about Lucas? Lucas to the line. It's a 14 flat for Lucas, but I think he might have invalidated there. As Roller Conga with a 14 flat. And yeah, I think Lucas did invalidate, which is not ideal for him. Kevin Zumberg on a lap right now. He's been predicted for pole position with a 13.9. Can he get it done? Coming into the stadium section now, the Evolution Racing Team driver. Final corner now for Kevin Zumberg. Tight to the line. And it's a 13.9. Ladies and gentlemen, we are into the 1 minute 13s. And is immediately beaten by Sergio. A 13.904. Are we going to see a 13.8 by the end of the session? Who knows? But we've had our first laps come in. And ET8 strike when the iron's hot with Sergio with a 1 minute 13.904. He's 400ths of a second ahead of Kevin Zumberg for Evolution Racing Team in second place. And then just over a tenth off of Kevin, we have Volokongan on a 14 flat. Then we have a big gap going back to Nick in fourth place on a 14.5, just ahead of Thiago in fifth, also on a 14.5. Then we got about a 2/10 gap back to RWB for Ground Effect Spec Racing on a 14.7. Then of course we got the All Elite Racing Team pairing of Caden and Melwin, both on 14.9s. Schumacher on a 15.1. And Lucas with no lap time on the board at this moment in time. But he's going to be heading back to the pits to put on a fresh set of boots to go again. What a lap time from both of these drivers, Kevin and Sergio. Incredible from the pair of them into the 13s here in Q3. And honestly, I think there may be a 13.8 out there for these guys. So that's not call pole position for Sergio just yet. I think there can be a 13.8. And of course, Volokongan could maybe be that man to pick up a 13.8. Who knows? We've seen it before. Volokongan has qualified very well in the past. Sergio also qualifies incredibly well. Kevin Zumberg does qualify well also. But what Kevin is going to want, he's going to want his teammate pretty close to him. Sergio right now, he does not have his teammate anywhere near him. His teammate's starting outside the top 10. Knocked out in Q2. Of course, us too. But with Sergio being up there towards the front, he runs the risk of getting double teamed by both of the TF10 drivers and by both of the Evolution Racing Team drivers. Because let's not forget, in terms of the championship, ETA are currently second, but they're not secured in second. There's plenty that could happen between now and the end of the season. As Thiago and Lucas exit the pit lane, both TF10 drivers in unison, coming out at the same time. So right now, Varun and Yannick's predictions of a 13.9 is at the moment accurate. Unfortunately for Yannick though, Sergio is on pole right now, provisional pole. And the only way I think of beating Sergio is getting into the 0.8s, which would take away the 0.9 prediction. But what can Thiago do for TF10? Can he get himself in the mix for pole position? We are going to find out. He's got his teammate in behind. The next man to cross the line is we've got a minute 20 seconds just under on the clock as Thiago is now unleashed down the start finish straight, heading down in towards turn number 1. as we look to our first sector split of Thiago, and he's marginally down in sector 1. But this is where time can be won and lost. How much can Thiago find in this middle sector, I wonder? Using a lot of battery in that middle sector split. And he's a 10.5 up in the middle sector, but he needs more in this final sector if he wants any hope of challenging for pole position here. Thiago through the final couple of corners, and to the line he'll come. Is this going to be... No, it is not. It's a 14.2 for Thiago as the checker flag is out. Lucas now to the line. And he goes just ahead of his teammate with a 14.1. Then of course we got Nick for IRT. He's coming into the pit lane. He's not happy. I think he's made a mistake on his lap. RWB has invalidated on his, so there will be no improvement from both Nick and RWB. Could leave himself vulnerable. Caden invalidates on his lap. Melvin is still going. And I think Volakongan backs out of his lap as well, moving out of the way. Melvin up to P6 though. Good lap from him. Volakongan, yes indeed, getting out of the way. As we got Sergio to the line, and of course there's going to be no improvement here with the invalidation. Kevin Zumberg is still on a valid lap time. So is Schumacher. Schumacher up to P6. What can Kevin do? He's marching down in the middle sector, and he's unable to find the time in the final sector to get himself up the order. So it is going to be the ET8 man of Sergio that will be taking the pole position here and the pole position point. And a low 1 minute 13.9. The predictions from Varan and of course Yannick in terms of the 13.9, absolutely spot on from the pair of them. And now I got to ask you both for the lottery numbers. Make sure you send them in the post. Let me know the lottery numbers with these kind of predictions. But let's run you through the order again at some point, because the game does not want to load the top 10 for me, but it is fine. I can just rewind the stream back and go through the stream. As it doesn't look like I am going to get the top 10 table right there, so I will have to go through the stream for this one, unfortunately. But we are able to run you through the order. It is of course Sergio who will be starting from pole position ahead of Kevin Zumberg in second place. Volakongan there in third with Lucas in fourth. Thiago in P5 with Schumacher in P6. Melvin P7. Nick in P8. RWB P9. And of course Caden going to be rounding out the top 10. And as the drivers are getting themselves ready, we'll once again have a little look at the track in question. Of course, the 4.3 kilometer, 2.6 mile circuit, 17 corners, 3 DRS zones, providing a lot of overtaking opportunity here tonight. And of course, another thing as well we got to look at is, of course, the current standings going into tonight. As mentioned, it is not safe for ET8 into P2 right now. TF10 can catch him, and mathematically so can Evolution Racing Team, but it's going to be a very, very uphill battle for Evolution Racing Team to get second in the championship. I'll be completely real about that one. But what could happen is Evolution Racing Team maybe getting closer to TF10 making the final race for third a bit more interesting. And of course ET8 as well and TF10 could bunch up going into the final round. Also, that battle for fifth between Legacy Racing and Ground Effect Spec Racing is hanging on by a balance. 1 point separating 5th and 6th. Alien Motorsport trying their best to stay ahead of all Elite Racing Team and Azuri Esports, as you got IRT trying to close the gap. So this battle for P7 definitely is going to go all the way down to the wire. I can assure you of that. Alien Motorsport and Azuri Esports are going to have an uphill battle, with all the Elite Racing Team and IRT having very decent qualifying here in Mexico. And in terms of what to expect, the drivers are going to have to make sure that they keep the penalties down to a minimum, because your race can be absolutely destroyed. Again, a quick look at the point standing. 22 points for the race win, 18 points for second, 15 points for third, 12 points for fourth, 11 points for fifth, and it goes down in increments of 1 down to 15th place, where you get 1 singular point. Of course, the pole position point has been collected by ET8. There is a point for the fastest lap of the race as well. So that is all to play for. And with that, guys, we're going to head to the track once again. Let me know your predictions, your top 3. Who is going to be on the podium? Will it be Kevin Zumberg taking victory? Will it be Sergio taking victory? What about Volokongan? Will it be TF10 Lucas, perhaps? Time will tell. As we await the drivers, making sure they got their race strategies all sorted and rearing to go. Speaking of strategies, of course, around this circuit, the mediums, they usually give you around about 10 good laps at best in terms of the way on them, in terms of the pace on them. So I can't imagine anyone else starting on like a set of heart. I think everyone will want to get rid of the medium tires at the start of the race. But will we see? Will we see any weather coming into play? It looks like blue skies at the moment, but will it stay that way? Will we see any safety cars that could bunch things up and switch around the entire field with penalties? We're going to find out now as we go to those 5 red lights here for round number 11 at Mexico. Lights are out and we are underway, and it's Sergio with a great start, but Volokongan up into P2 already as we got the rundown in towards turn number 1. A little bit of desync as Kevin Zumberg, Sergio, and a little bit of movement as we got big lag going on, and I think that has caught out Volokongan there. Big lag going on at the start of this race, not ideal for the drivers here, as we actually got a bit of a mix up in terms of the field, as we hope the lobby will settle down and the drivers will be no longer lagging. But a big loss there for Volokongan down to P5 as we got Caden and Thiago side by side coming into the S's. Thiago on the inside, Caden on the outside, takes to the exit curb. Schumacher in P8, Melwin up into P9, RWB down to P10, Ivan ahead of Oxcu, and King Stappen ahead of Finley as close to a front wing loss there, an end plate loss for Finley. Very close to that indeed, as Apple is trying all the way around the outside, coming into the final corner. No way through there for Apple. Finley on the hard tyres, getting absolutely swamped here as we got Volokongan getting overtaken by Thiago coming down the start finish straight. As Caden absolutely rocketing past, and Volokongan sends one back down the inside. And maybe Volokongan does not want to get caught up behind Caden, because maybe that's where the lag is right now. Schumacher ahead of Caden as well. Caden tries to outbrake and tries to find a bit of room around the outside as RWB and Melwin contact made between the pair of them. Ivan down the inside, free wide into turn 6, and it is Ivan that comes through. Up into P9 goes the IRT man, as it is very chaotic at the start of this race. And I think I just saw a bit of front wing end plate fly off. And is that front wing end plate from any of these guys? I'm having a little look around. And yes, front wing end plate missing for Max King Staben. Not good for Alien Motorsport. One of the drivers is wounded here at the start of this race. Back up towards the front door. Are we going to see Lucas go for the move on Kevin Zumberg? He is closing in, but he's not closing in enough. Kevin looking at the back of Sergio. Not going to risk the overtake here. We'll stay on board with Lucas. Looking for a good exit out of turn number 3. DRS and ERS engaged right now for Lucas. But he's not going to risk it. Thiago and Nick trading positions as well. Thiago up into P4, Nick down to P5. Lap 3 of 36. RWB on the back of Melwin for the top 10. But let's have a look at the big gainers and losers at the start of this race. It is going to be the big gainers are Apple and Nick respectively, both of them up 3 positions. Caden up 2, Ivan up 2. As contact and the front wing end plate gone, as we see Ivan and Caden coming together. Contact between the pair of them. Heavy front wing loss for the Haas. Ostu down the inside, but as Ivan was trying to come into the pit lane, and a big absolute kerfuffle happened into the pits, and there's definitely going to be some words about that. Unfortunately, I think in that kind of situation there, it might have been more prudent for Ivan to stay out rather than try to get himself into the pit lane. But a big split in the field has formed now, as Caden and Melwin, 3 seconds separating them, and you see the front wing damage on the Ferrari of Melwin. Not ideal right now for these guys at all. As through the SS, Oxtu getting absolutely held up, as we see the ghosting going on there. Melwin, I think, his internet is struggling. As that's going to open the door for Finley down the inside of Oxtu. In towards turn 13, now 14 around the outside. More contact made between the pair of them, but they're still side by side as they come through the final corner. Still wheel to wheel. ET8 and Shazoo battling it out once again. Finley and Oxtu as they head down in towards turn number 1. Neither of them wants to yield the position. They're both going to fight for it. Under braking, contact, a little bit of contact on my end, but they're still side by side. They're still giving each other the space, which is absolutely fantastic to see. Oxtu does hold on ahead of Finley here, and that's going to open things up now for Apple. Apple potentially having a little peek, as we've got more lag there going on. There's the lobby, I think, potentially might have just sorted itself out, as Osu and Finley still side by side, and they've been side by side for such a long time now. But it is going to be Osu that does come ahead of Finley here and holds on to P10 in this race. Apple and Finley being really held up by Ostu. Sorry, not Ostu, Melvin here, who has been overtaken by Ostu. And that might have been a little bit premature, because here comes Melvin now with DRS. Is going to go for the overtake and get that position back. Remember, he has a double dose of it. Down the starting straight and in towards turn number 4. His contact actually is Finley trying to send it on the outside of Oxcu there, and he's sent it on the inside as well, forcing Oxcu off track. There's Apple trying to squeeze it down the inside. No room for Apple at all. But now Finley with DRS. He's not going to go for the move on Melvin here. He's going to sit and he's going to wait. Wait for the long start finish straight. But this is where things are nervous. In the slow corners, where that wing damage is not going to help Melvin at all. But now, a good run out of the final corner for Finley. And it looks like Melvin has the straight line speed, but he cannot fight against DRS, and he tries to squeeze Finley all the way onto the grass, but it doesn't work out for him, as Finley now is going to hang it around the outside. Contact there a little bit as Melvin absolutely parks it, and he parks it directly in front of Oxu, who's going to make it 3 wide coming down in towards turn number 4. No, he's not. He's going to sit in behind. Smart there from Oxu. Look for a switchback here. Oh, Melvin cannot get the traction, can't get the run. More wheel-to-wheel contact between Finley and Melvin here as we head down into the SS. Melvin going to try to hang it, but he does not have the downforce with that wing damage. And now Oxu with an opportunity to potentially get the move done on Melvin here. Lap 8 of 36. Sergio leads the way. Ahead of Kevin Zumberg in second. Both TF10 drivers in third and fourth with Lucas and Thiago. Ahead of Caden in fifth. And then of course we've got Volokongan in sixth place. Battling it out with the All Elite Racing Team driver. Schumacher in seventh in a bit of no man's land. As is Finley in eighth. Staying ahead of Melvin and Oxtu in 9th and 10th. And of course we've got Apple and Mafio in 11th and 12th on the back of this train. Looking for any opportunities up ahead. Julian in 13th, but I believe he wasn't able to rejoin the lobby, so he's still in 13th where his car is ghosted. Nick, after making a pit stop a couple of laps back, he's in 14th and trying to get himself up the order as best as possible. With RWB in 15th, Ivan in 16th, King Stubborn in 17th, Medal 18th, RW06 19th, and of course Pablo rounding out the remainder of the field as Lucas gets through on Kevin Zumberg. And here goes Thiago. Both TF10 drivers working in unison, getting that move done on Kevin Zumberg as Kevin's tyres begin to feel a bit second hand now. And that's Melvin into the pits and out of the race. And I think potentially for the best with the lag issue that we were seeing with Melvin, but it is not ideal. You never want to see a driver retire from the race. Up at the front, Lucas and Thiago going to be trying to work together in unison to close up to Sergio. in this race. And they're going to hope that they can kind of drop Kevin Zumberg out of danger and obviously let him slip back into the clutches of Caden here. Of course, the mediums are beginning to wear now. They are beginning to feel second hand. But as long as Kevin Zumberg can stay within DRS range of the car in front, he is going to be absolutely loving life. Pablo, 3-second time penalty for him as we got Schumacher and Apple both into the pit lane for their first stops of the evening. Hard tyres going on for the pair of them. As Lucas unfortunately has fallen away from his teammate, which will allow Kevin Zumberg the ability of fighting, but yet you see Thiago backs up and lets his teammate get back in DRS. Working together as a team, the TF10 pairing. Kevin does stay out, Volokongan stays out. Obviously Julian with the AI, so we're expecting the AI to only pit when it is like lap, I want to say like lap 12, 13. And now Kevin Zumberg is borderline falling out of DRS range. And it's because he doesn't have the grip on those mediums anymore. He should still have a bite of the cherry here on the next straight, but only if he can carry enough speed, which he has not done. Which is unfortunate because now Kevin Zumberg is out of DRS range. And now we're going to see TF10 working in unison to get themselves onto the back of Sergio. Yellow flag towards the back, and I think that's Mafio that has gone for a bit of a tumble down the order. And yes, it is ghosting right there is Mafio, sorry, as Pablo on the back of RW06 for P16. It's outside the points right now, but you never know what can happen in this race. Kevin Zumberg into the pits. Fresh set of hards going to be going on for sure. And he's going to come out behind Nick. But how far down the order is Kevin Zumberg going to come out? Exits the pit lane ahead of his teammate. As Ivan and RWB still trailing Schumacher. As Caden now on the back of Lucas and Thiago. You got Volokongan who is still stuck it out on those medium compound tyres. He's persevering with the tyre disadvantage he has right now, but surely he's in at the end of this lap. Volokongan, is he in? Yes, he is. And it'll be a set of hard compound tyres for sure for Volokongan. Lap 13 of 36. Is Sergio that leads the way ahead of a TF10 double podium right now, with Thiago ahead of Lucas. Then of course we got Caden for All Elite Racing Team in 4th. Finley up into 5th now, and Oxley in 6th. Those guys yet to make pit stops in this race. The drivers that have made pit stops, Nick right now is your net race leader in terms of the pit stop. Kevin Zumberg right now, and that P2. As we have yellow flag towards the back as King Stablin falls behind his teammate. As we're about to begin lap 14 of 36. Both Thiago and Lucas know what they need to do. And that's just work as a team. As there's a switch from TF10. Lucas now ahead of Thiago as both of them are looking pretty healthy on the ERS. Caden matching Lucas in terms of ERS at the moment. Finley, he's used absolutely everything to try and get away from the likes of Oxcrew and everything. But Oxcrew's still going decent so far, and he'll hope that he can bring home some big points for ET8. So right now his teammate is currently leading the race. Oxu currently in 6th. But he's got IRT Nick closing him down on fresh hard compound tyres. Right guys, I'm going to leave you on this battle for just a moment as I have to quickly step away from the microphone. But I will leave you on this battle while I briefly take a small step away. Appreciate you guys bearing with me on that one as I quickly had to take a step away. Volokonga getting through on Kevin Zumberg. A big overtake there for P7. Looks like Thiago did come into the pits. Fresh set of hard compound tyres on for him as Lucas is now also in the pits. As we got a request for the penalties. Of course we will go for the penalties at this moment in time. Schumacher currently on 3 seconds. Ivan on 3 seconds. Max Kinstappen on 9 seconds, 3 seconds for RW06, 3 seconds for Pablo, and of course 3 seconds for Mafio. One retiree thus far, and that is of course Melvin. As Oxtu and Volakongan battling it out there for P. What's going on with Nick? What has gone on there for Nick? Nick is struggling with something. I'm trying to have a look. I'm not seeing if it's a puncher. Does Nick have a puncher, or does he have some major issue right now? He doesn't visually seem to have a puncher. I'm not sure what the issue is for Nick at this moment in time, but Nick is really struggling. He's coming into the pits. Surely, no, he's carrying on. I'm not sure what's going on there with Nick, but right, Thiago and Lucas have obviously they both made their pit stops, and Schumacher and Lucas are battling it out. There was a bit of lag going on there though, which is not ideal. Not ideal at all. Right now, Sergio has yet to make his pit stop. Same with Finley. Same with Oxu. And we are half race distance now. Lap 18 of 36. ET8 lead the way with Sergio. And right now it's a double Shazoo podium, but it's a little bit out of sync because Volakongan right now is in a he's in a net P2 net race lead right now is Volakongan. Meanwhile, his teammate Finley is yet to make a pit stop. So I think what we're going to see here is Volakongan get the easy overtake on Finley, and Finley going to try and back up Kevin Zumberg a bit. As in the background, you're seeing both TF10 drivers getting the move done on Ox2 up into P5 and P6 respectfully, as Ox2 has gone around. I'm not sure if there was any contact there with Thiago, but Ox2 has gone around. Nick still going on. It will be very interesting to find out what this issue was with Nick and why he slowed up so much, because he was in a great spot. And there's the switcheroo right there from Finley and Volakongan. And Kevin Zumberg knows what's happening right now. And he's going to try everything he can to make sure he gets through this with no issues at all. But you see the gap is 1.7, 1.8 already. But Finley, no DRS for him. Allows Kevin Zumberg to make that overtake very easily. And now with DRS coming down at turn 4, maybe get himself within the DRS window once again on Volakongan. I'll tell you what, this race is going to get very interesting towards the end, because Thiago and Lucas are going hards, and then potentially mediums towards the end. But right now they got Finley to get past. And it looks like Finley has done his job very well indeed, because Kevin Zumberg has not been able to get through or back into DRS. And Lucas, what is our little peak on Finley, but fought against it. And with DRS again for the TF10 driver, it's an easy overtake. So now the question is, what is going to happen by here? Because Kevin Zumberg, is he going to be happy and content with, you know, letting TF10 do their teamwork on Kevin, and then just dragging Kevin along back up to Wolakonga? Like, is that going to be something that Kevin Zumberg may be interested in? It could possibly, but we are going to find out in a few laps time. Sergio still leading the way, lap 22 of 36. He's been on those hard since the start of the race. The gap between himself and Wolakonga is now down to 14.5 seconds. I tell you what, this is going to be very interesting when we get a little bit deeper into this race. As Yannick says, Kevin got spun by Oxford. I'm sure the stewards will be getting involved in that one if that is the case. But Sergio into the pits is going to release Wolakonga into the race lead. And now TF10 on the charge as they hunt down Kevin Zumberg here. Thiago through, Lucas trying it down the inside. You'll hang it around the outside for turn 2, out the inside for 3. A little bit of contact there between the pair of them. Kevin Zumberg holds on to P3. But with no DRS, he's under pressure going into turn number 4. But yeah, nothing that Lucas could do there. Going for that move would be a risk not only to lose him out massively with wing damage or spinning, but it could also be a case where he would risk losing his wheel as well. As Kevin Zumberg done enough to stay within DRS. Time will tell, as it looks like Nick gets ahead of Finley with no issues. And here comes Lucas. Clean through on Kevin Zumberg. Up into P3, and look at that, Caden down the inside as well, having a look on Kevin Zumberg as we got a lap car getting in the mist as well. But Kevin Zumberg goes from P2 in this race down to P5 in the space of just a few laps. Not ideal for Kevin Zumberg. as Oxu is into the pits. Fresh set of mediums going on there. Lap 24 of 36. RWB on the set of the hard compound tyres. The gap between Thiago and Volokongan is going to be very interesting to monitor now, because the grip advantage should be in favour of TF10, and by working together they should be able to just eat into that time down the start finish straight and in towards turn number 4. As I think that might have been a mistake from Thiago going for a very wide entry, because that's allowed Caden to have a little peek down the outside, which will turn to the inside for the next part of the corner at turn 5. Now at turn 6, Caden on the inside, Thiago on the outside. Thiago trying to hang his car there, and still side by side going into the S's. And it looks like Thiago is going to retain that position. It has allowed Lucas to get away here. But Caden and Thiago is where the battle is right now. Of course, that penalty is looming over Caden. But another person is on the scene now. The pole sitter. Sergio on those medium compound tyres going to the end of the race. I can assure you of that. As it looks like no DRS for Thiago means he loses out to Sergio, and Sergio with no grip is going to lose out to Caden with no grip is going to lose out to Sergio as well. And Thiago is going to sneak through up into P4. But Caden coming back at him using that ERS. But Thiago going to try and hang it all the way around the outside. Caden going to hang it on the outside of turn 5. Inside line goes to Thiago for turn 6. And now the inside line will go the way of Caden for turn 7. Contact made between the pair of them. But Thiago still holds on. And he's held on. Lovely stuff. Into no DRS. And into Caden getting himself promoted to P4. And yes, it is. Good spot from Troye in the chat. Asking the question, is it raining? I have just noticed a little dash of rain now beginning to fall on the car. Lap 27 of 36. The rain is now falling. Volokongan leads the way. 3.5 seconds. Lucas in P2. And he's got Sergio all over the back of him. Caden ahead of Thiago. As Kevin Zumberg now tries to get through on the TF10 man. Tries to get himself back up into the top 5. And he's going to try and outbreak and go around the outside. Bit of wheel-to-wheel contact between the pair of them. But it is going to be Kevin Zumberg who does come out on top ahead of Thiago. The rain is now falling, but will it get wet enough for the intermediate tyres? And at what point is it the right time to switch? Mafio is on the intermediates right now. And as it currently stands, it is not looking like the Inters are better than the dries at this moment in time. Now this is going to be interesting because obviously the rain coming means that all Volokongan has to do is just be consistent with his lap times. Sergio has to push And he's going to end up towing Lucas along for the ride. As Apple and Ivan do come into the pits, and they're chucking on a set of the intermediates now. They're going to try to emulate what Mafio has done. As Sergio trying to use those medium compound tyres to close up to Volakongan, but Volakongan is keeping him at bay for the time being. And yeah, it is too soon for intermediate. You can see Apple is losing time to RW06, and you'll also see that Finley and King Staben all over the back of the two intermediate runners now. As Max Staben, another 3-second time penalty for him. It's not a good day for Max Staben here, who is going to lose out massively in terms of the penalties he has. Back up towards the front, you're seeing now the lack of grip from these slick tyres are enough to make the drivers just drift wide of corners, and that's going to be unnecessarily warnings that these lads are going to get. Lap 30 of 36. Lucas is in. This could be huge. This could be absolutely pivotal in the race right now, because if Lucas has timed this right, he is going to gain massively here. And yes, it looks like it is timed right, because look at this now. Apple is closing in on RW06. The Inters look like they're better now. But Lucas he's going to a set of the mediums. And now Apple's losing time again. Oh, this is absolutely turned on its head here. Okay, so it's not wet enough for intermediates again. It did look like momentarily it was going to be the intermediates of the better tyres. As Nick and Schumacher are battling out. Remember what happened with Nick earlier? We don't know. As now Medal and RWB line astern in 7th and 8th. What an interesting turn of events. I will go for the penalties in just a moment's time. But yeah, a very interesting dynamic that is going on. Thiago, 10 seconds speeding in the pit lane. Not ideal for him. And now we see the penalties. Caden with 3 seconds. Thiago with 10. 3 seconds for Schumacher. 3 seconds for RW06. 12 seconds for King Stappen. 9 for Ivan. 3 for Apple. 3 for Pablo. And 6 for Mafio. And now the raindrops are on the track. I think right now it could be the Inters. I think it is now going to be intermediate conditions. We're seeing the droplets on track. And yeah, you're seeing Schumacher. He was closing in momentarily, but now he's losing time again. This is a strange condition right now. It's raining, but it's not wet enough yet. as Sergio and Schumacher picks up another time penalty to his name. Sergio into the pits, intermediates going on for his car. Caden, same thing. But have they made a mistake by putting on the inters? I think Volokongan's going to try and just go to the end on these hards. Same with Kevin Zumberg. Unless they're forced into going on the inters, I don't think we're going to see them pit for intermediate tyres. Lap 32 or 36. Volokongan leads away ahead of Kevin Zumberg in second place. Lucas there in third. Sergio on intermediates in fourth. Thiago in fifth. Caden within the 10-second time penalty that Thiago currently has to his name. And we got Nick in 7th, Schumacher in 8th, 9th going away of RWB, and King Stappen rounding out the top 10. As Volokongan and Kevin Zumberg both into the pits. It'll be intermediates for the pair of them, I'm sure of it. And that's released Lucas now into the race lead. Where's Sergio versus Volokongan? The gap has kind of stayed where it is, as Kevin Zumberg is ahead of Thiago. And Thiago's actually into the pits. My mistake there. Nick currently in 6th place on those dry tyres still. King Stappen on dry still. Pablo on dry still. And Lucas on dries as well. But you can see the delta is going down between Volokongan and Lucas. Those on dry compound tyres is not ideal for them at this moment in time. Volokongan and Sergio are going to be closing in on Lucas drastically. As we're about to begin lap 34 of 36. Lucas leads away for TF10, but for how much longer? Because Volokongan is now within that 1 second window. Sergio will be hoping that Lucas puts up a big fight against Volokongan, that he can close up and get himself in the hunt for the race win. And Sergio with a 3-second time penalty. That's his chances of a race win over and done with now, as Lucas has been overtaken by Volokongan. DRS has now been disabled on lap 34 of 36. The DRS has been disabled, and in the wet conditions, those on the dry tyres are going to plummet down the order. And we're going to see Sergio now on the back of Lucas, and this will be a relatively simple overtake, I think, for the ET8 man. Down the inside he goes. He's got the grip on the inters, and he's just pulled it off. Absolutely fantastic from Sergio. 3-second time penalty though. Could put him under pressure. Maybe not from Caden, but maybe it could put him under pressure for second, especially if he has a few techie moments out there. King Stappen with another time penalty to his name. Continuing on with his woes. This man, Volokongan, doing an absolute fantastic job. out in the lead and just controlling the race now. As Sergio there in P2, Caden and Lucas battling out there for P3, and Caden's through up into third place. Lucas is going to be hoping he can just stay within time penalties. I think that's what Lucas is planning right now. But he's got Kevin Zumberg with no penalties right on his rear wing, and there we go. Kevin released up into P4. Lap 35 about to begin. The final lap of the race. Volokongan is in the race lead and is on course to take victory once again for Shazoo. ET8 with a big second place result. Could be enough with Oxu in 12th to hold on to a healthy lead in the constructors. And obviously with Kevin Zumberg and Schumacher in 4th and 6th, could be some big points gained for Evolution Racing. Not so many big points gained for TF10, and Volokongan being light years in front of his teammate Oxu here. As we are going to come through the final sector for the final time with the man who's led the race for a good chunk of the race. Volokongan has led, and he's going to come around the final corner to take the victory here in Mexico for Shazoo. Is Volokongan with another race win. Sergio in second place, another podium for ET8. Caden in third, but he'll be dropped down to 4th as Kevin Zumberg gets that podium position. And now Lucas to the line. It's going to be P5 for him. Great effort considering the tyres he's on. And now Schumacher in 6th, but will he stay there as Nick now comes to the line on his dry compound tyres. And he's a second off, unfortunately, for Nick. RWB in 8th. Then, of course, we got Thiago in 9th, and Medal going to jump himself actually ahead of Thiago. Osua will get ahead of Thiago as well. Apple will jump Ivan in the final results, as we got RW06 official jumping ahead of King Staben. And then, of course, we got Finley in 16th. Out of the points there for Finley, so it's going to be an interesting one in terms of what will happen with steward reports. There was definitely a lot of lag at points in this race, which could have affected some of the incidents that we saw at the start of this race, but it's just going to be interesting. I believe I'm not going to get the podium celebration. No, I am. So there we go. Volokongan will take the top step of the podium for Shazoo. And we'll run you through the order one more time. It is, of course, Volokongan with the race winner ahead of Sergio in second place, Kevin Zumberg in third, Caden in 4th with Lucas in 5th with the fastest lap. In 6th place we have Schumacher, Nick in 7th, RWB in 8th, Medal in 9th, and Ostu round out the top 10. Outside of the top 10 we got Thiago in 11th, Apple 12th, Ivan 13th, RW06 official in 14th, and the last point is going to Max King Staben in 15th place. Our non-points finishers were, of course, Finley, Julian, Pablo, and Mafio in 19th place, and our only non-finisher was, of course, Melvin, which is not ideal. But I believe Julian was not able to get back into his car, when the session started, so I don't believe he was actually here for the race. Well, I tell you what, obviously TF10, it was looking so good for him, and there was some big points that could have been gained on ET8 here tonight, but it just unraveled. They went back-to-back hard compound tires, and then they made the choice of putting on the set the dries, the mediums, to go ahead and try to get to the end of the race. But unfortunately for them, they weren't quick enough to catch up to the leaders, and at the same time as well, they weren't going to be the best tires. I mean, we saw it was lap 34 DRS getting disabled, which was a big blow to both of the TF10 drivers. Of course, Thiago with that 10-second time penalty, what will be going through his mind now as well. Evolution Racing having a fantastic result, and of course, looking at the standings, TF10 and Evolution Racing have definitely bunched up in the standings. I can assure you of that. And All Elite Racing, I think, has jumped well ahead of Alien Motorsport and Azuri Esports, and of course International Racing Team. It's going to be very, very interesting in terms of what we're going to see now going into the final round, because Shazoo, they've done enough. Shazoo, obviously champions, they've already been crowned. ET8, I believe potentially ET8 have done enough to secure second now. That battle for third, I think, is still alive. The battle for fifth and sixth is still alive. And then, of course, that battle for seventh, I think All Elite Racing might have gained a big upper hand in that battle. And I think IRT has potentially closed up on the likes of Alien Motorsport and Azuri here. So it's going to be interesting in terms of the battles that we're going to have going into the final round of the championship, which of course will be next week. And where are we going next week? Well, I'll tell you, we're heading down across into the South American continent as we head to Sao Paulo. We head to Brazil for the final race of the season, and I am very much looking forward to it. Brazil is going to throw out a absolute gem of a race. It's going to be very close in qualifying again, and in terms of the race, it's going to be close as well. I'm going in already. I'm saying it's going to be close in Brazil in the race as well as in qualifying. I'm also thinking that maybe we get some conditions in Brazil at some point, whether it be in qualifying or the race. That is going to be my prediction for that. But guys, massive thank you to every single one of you for tuning in here tonight. Again, before we wrap things up, we'll go through our sponsors and partners here at CTC. Of course, our sponsor with Pivot Media, of course, the marketing agency offering graphic and video designers to elevate your brand and business. Make sure you check out their X in the description below. Of course, to Virtual Setup Engineer, the brand new setup shop for all your setup needs, where they offer setups for all the tracks, plus a custom chat box where they can customize the setup to your driving style. And of course, to a Gridfinder as well. Guys, I will be back next week for the final round of the championship at Brazil. Until then, guys, I have been Michael Edwards, and we'll see you in a week's time at the season finale in Sao Paulo. Until then, guys, it is goodbye from me.